Hello and welcome to the Paletteful Packs YouTube channel. My name is Alice and today I have the November 2023 Paletteful Premiere Pack here in front of me. Let's go ahead, open it up and see what's inside. Oh, this is pretty. I love the yellow and the pink. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the first thing I see in here are these Tombow alcohol-based markers. There are going to be 5 of these in a range of tones of pink, ranging from light to dark. And these are dual tip markers. So one side is going to be a brush tip, so you can get really thin strokes or really thick strokes with it, or get those varied pretty brush strokes. You can blend with it really easily. And then the other side is going to be a chisel tip, which is better suited for kind of filling in large areas and things like that. So they're going to be super versatile because they're alcohol based. They're going to have a fast drying ink, and yeah, I'm super excited to play around with these. I love the color selection. Oh my god, there's more. There's 2 more. Look at this. Oh my god, we got so many markers. I'm so excited. Okay, so in addition to the pink, there's also a gray tone set and a blue tone set. So we can use all of these together to create a variety of different tones. And then the gray is going to be really useful for adding different shading and toning things down and things like that. So I'm really excited to play around with these. Wow, that was exciting. I just got a lot of dopamine from that. Next thing I see in here is this graphics fine liner set. Ooh, a lot of sets in this pack today. These are by Marabou. They're going to be a 0.2 millimeter, a 0.4 millimeter, a 0.8 millimeter, and a brush tip. So they're high quality, light, fast, low odor, water-based pigment ink. Super exciting. Oh my goodness. So we can use these to add line art for the marker drawing that we're going to work on. Oh, and then there's 2 stickers. And then in the bottom here, we have the surface. This is going to be the Strathmore marker paper. It's the smooth surface, acid-free, heavyweight, bleed-resistant. It's going to be 24 sheets, and we're going to get 6 by 8 inches. I think this is a perfect size for working with markers, and I'm really excited to make some art with this. Okay, so this is everything that we're going to get in the November 2023 Paletteful Premiere Pack here. We have the Tombow alcohol-based markers in the pink tones, the blue tones, and of course the gray tones. We also have our little surface down here, the marker paper by Strathmore, as well as the set of fine liners by Marabou. Super excited about those. And of course we can't forget our little sticker friends. So I am really excited to go ahead and make some art, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. Okay, so the first thing that I did was make a few little swatches just so I could see how the colors were going to look once they were all on the paper, because a lot of times when you first put the ink down it can be a little bit different, and we all know that the colors on the caps are never as accurate as we would like them to be. So I went ahead and made my swatches. I made them cute little heart shapes just for my own personal amusement. And I did notice, I'm really glad I did these, because I noticed that when you first put down the pink, it goes on very almost orangey, and then it fades down and settles down to more of a rose pink. So it kind of kept me from freaking out when I was putting the colors down and blending, that it was going to be fluorescent pink. I also tested the little fine liners, and then I went in and just started drawing a flower to try to get an idea of how everything was going to blend. I started with gray and just built up using some gray tones to kind of establish the overall shape and shading of the flower and the petals. This is just a doodle, it's nothing fancy, and I just wanted to see how everything would blend. Then I glazed some blue and some pink on top. I thought that I would really like this technique, but it didn't work as well as I would like, but I'm glad that I got to try it at least on this little rose flower, because it's not actually the technique that I ended up using for the majority of the piece, but it was good to know and good to be aware of, because I was able to incorporate it in certain ways to enhance the shading. So just don't be afraid to play around with different techniques. I don't consider myself particularly skilled when it comes to alcohol markers. I just kind of feel like I'm just making things up as I go along. But one thing that I am always willing to do is try a new technique, try a different way of doing things, and see what happens. So I would encourage you to start your piece by experimenting on a piece of paper and playing around with some different shading styles. And once you have kind of an idea of how the markers work, that's when you can go in and work on your illustration. So like half of the world, I have been obsessively reading the Empyrean series. I just finished the most recent book. Super exciting. I love it. Really, really loving the book series so far. And it made me inspired to draw dragons because dragons are a huge part of that book series. I'm not really a dragon artist, so don't judge my dragon anatomy, but I think she came out pretty cute. So I started by coloring in the background of my dragon and making it a beautiful blue sky so that she is kind of flying in the sky. And I kind of drew her tilted on the page, so it just kind of looks like she's kind of flying at you. And I just faded using the blue tone, starting with the darkest blue, working all the way down to the bottom with the lightest blue, working in section by section and kind of fading each little section into the next section using some like long kind of cloud-like strokes to blend. About partway through, I realized I probably should have lightened my sketch lines, so I went ahead and did that with an eraser and then continued on with my sky, just blending things together using the lighter tones now to get in this nice gradient in the sky and kind of establish some areas of clouds and interest in the sky as well. And I wanted to keep this pretty simple. I decided to keep with the, kind of two-tone pink and blue. So I was like, let's do a bright blue sky and then let's make her a bright pink dragon. This is Barbie dragon. We're going with Barbie dragon. So that's what I decided to do. So once the background was done, I started jumping into the shading of the dragon, and I decided to start with gray, like a medium toned gray, to establish some of the areas of shading. And this was more for like cast shadows and areas that I wanted to fall back. So the second wing, like the back wing, I wanted to fall back even further than the regular shadow color would push it. So I put a lot more of the dark gray there. Same with putting some cast shadows like under where her other wing is, at the bottom of her chest, behind the shoulders, and around the jawline. And once I kind of had that, I went in and I worked from dark to light. I kind of go back and forth on whether I work from dark to light or light to dark, depending on the alcohol marker. For these alcohol markers, based on my experimentations at the beginning of this when I was doing my swatches, I felt that working dark to light got me a little bit more control, because working light to dark, I felt like after I layered so many colors up on the page, everything started bleeding together. So working dark to light allowed me to control my layers a little bit more and not have so much ink in one area. So I started with the darkest pink and pulling in those really dark shadows, the dark cast shadows and the areas where the wings fold. I'm also trying to get some scale texture under in her chest because obviously dragons are scaly, so we want to get some of that fun texture there to add some of that realism, as much realism as you can add it to a dragon, a bright pink dragon. And then just moving through the different stages of colors, I moved from the darkest to the medium darkest and then medium light and light, just adding in my shading. With the dark one, I really took my time with the very darkest, just adding in these like tiny little cracks and all these little details and things like that because I wanted to show all these ridges on her face as well. And then I went back in, like I was saying, with that next dark color and start blending in. And I'm using these scale-like strokes again to blend, just because it's going to create this kind of scale texture because you can kind of see some of the brush strokes. So you want to be cognizant of how you're moving your pet brush tip, so that you're making sure to move it in a way that makes sense with the drawing. So like for me, I want to move it in a scale-like motion. I want to make sure that I'm curving it around the muscles of the body, and things like that. So slowly just going around the piece, adding in detail little by little. And this was definitely a little bit of a challenge. Like I said, I'm not a dragon artist by any means. So I was kind of questioning myself a lot. I was like, wait, where am I going? How do I do the anatomy on this? But I just trusted the process and tried to focus on having fun. This piece was a lot of fun for me. I've been doing a lot of quote unquote serious artwork recently, and it was nice to just do a fun illustration that was for myself because I've been wanting to draw a dragon. Like there was no other reason for me picking a dragon other than I've been wanting to draw a dragon. So, when you're thinking about your subject matter for what you're going to play around with your markers with, this month, I'm going to challenge you to draw something purely for yourself, not worry about what anyone else thinks or anything like that. Just draw something that sounds fun to you. because ultimately art should just be fun. That should be the purpose of art. And I really did have fun with this. I mean, how much more fun is there is than a hot pink dragon? Like, come on. So continuing to build up, just like I said, moving into those lighter colors, and getting in those like final bright little bits of highlights. I think because I started with the darker colors, she ended up much more of a darker dragon. If I started with the lighter colors, I probably could have preserved more light space and had her be more of like a light pink dragon, but I like the dark magenta color that she came out. I think it looks really nice against the blue of the sky, and I think it looks really pretty. I also went back in with some of the lighter pink when I was doing the lighter pink, and I rubbed over and over and over again over some of the darker areas, and it will kind of lift up some of that ink and like push it away and make a lighter spot, a lighter area. So you can kind of do that to add in like reflected lights in certain areas as well. Once I was done with all of the pink, I went in with the fine liners and I added in her eyes, and then I went around and added in some line art. I chose to add in the liner after I did the coloring. It's just more comfortable for me, and I just don't stress as much. And I didn't really worry too much about my line art being perfect. There's places where it goes off the edge, and that's fine. But it was just kind of more to establish the overall outline of her and bring out some of her details to the forefront, and things like that. So just kind of throwing in a little bit of line art on there. And then I went in and added in just a tiny little bit of light gray just to add in some final little bits of shading. And that is it. That is my dragon. I think she came out super cute, and I hope that you love her just as much as I do. If you'd like to get your own Paletteful packs, then don't forget to click the link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye!